Hey y'all, this is Gaming Granny coming at you, and this is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This is a violent video game. If that is not in your comfort zone, then you can do a couple different things if you want. One would be just to give me a thumbs up. Tell me what kind of game you would like to see me play. You can give me a thumbs up and you can leave. You can give me a thumbs up and watch one of my other videos. There's a ton of them on there. I think 60 some now. And the other option, which I didn't even think of this one, but some of my subs have thought of it. They sit where they can't see the TV, but they can hear my voice. So, also, disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this channel are mine and mine alone. Do not send anyone hate for any reason. Not just from my channel, but from anywhere. And that's all I ask, is that you're respectful in my comment section. But I wish some of you would use the comment section, because I haven't seen a comment in it's been about a month or so. A month, 2 months. So, yeah. And do your own research. Don't take other people's work to be the end-all be-all. Do your own research. Just like with any kind of belief system you have, or knowledge system, not everybody learns everything the same way, and not everybody thinks everything is the same way. So keep that in mind as well. Alright. Welcome. If this is your first time here, I'm glad you're here. Let us know that you're new, or, if there's something you want to tell us. My email is in the boxes, the description boxes, or whatever that are down below. If you don't know what this is, hang out for a few minutes. You might like it. You never know. Basically, I'm a grandma who plays video games. And a lot of times it's hilarious because I get my hind end beat. Or blow myself up on accident. Alright. Welcome if you are a returning visitor or sub. We are grateful for each and every one of you, and we wish y'all a safe and happy Halloween. Now, I also want to say welcome to my old school RuneScape clan, the Frog Army. If some of y'all are on here, give us a thumbs up and a wave. Just so I know who's interested and who's not. And, yeah. So today I thought maybe since Halloween's coming up real soon, I was thinking that maybe I'd just tell you a couple little ghost stories. Now, I don't know what happens to a ghost that's in a house if the house burns part of the way down. So, I don't know if the ghost is still there or not. But during my childhood, my grandmother, her house, she had a ghost. He was just a big, tall, black shadow figure. And he would, like one time I went to the pop closet. It was a big walk-in closet in the front part of the hallway by the dining room. And I turned around and had 2 pops in my hand and turned around and bumped into something, and I had no idea what it was. But later I found out that was him, the ghost. I say him because I don't know that we ever really figured out who the ghost was. I know that my mom would often say that if she saw him, she would just say, what do you need? Can I help you with something? So, yeah, she did a lot of that. But I don't think it ever said anything to anyone. But it did do some fun things. Not fun, but scary things. But it was mostly just a way to say, no, she's right, I'm here. My aunt and uncle were there one time. There were several of my aunts and uncles there at the time. But this one aunt, she was sitting at the table and the clean silverware was sitting in front of her. And she had said that she didn't think there was a ghost. And she didn't believe in ghosts. Which is common, especially in Christian circles, which that family is very Christian. But we also had some divination or whatever you want to call it. Because my great-grandma could read tea leaves. My grandma could use a deck of cards and tell you something about it. But now a lot of my relatives consider that witchcraft and don't allow it for any reason at all. So, keep that in mind as well. But anyways, they were sitting at the table, and my aunt was saying that she didn't believe in ghosts. She didn't think there was a ghost. On and on and on. And the silverware that was sitting in front of her picked up off the table about 3 or 4 inches in the air and slammed back down on the table. That was the last time she asked anything about the ghost. She'd seen enough to know that there was something there, so she didn't want nothing to do with it. Now, there were several of us grandkids that had encounters with this ghost. But none, it scared me. And she had a Boston Terrier, a male Boston Terrier, and I can't remember his name. But it was like a normal dog name. It wasn't something crazy. Anywho, this dog, when I lived with her even, the dog would not go out into the dining room and the kitchen at night unless somebody went before him and turned on all the lights. He would tell us by not going in there. He would go out in the hallway facing those two rooms and just sit and bark. I think Bandit was his name. Anyways, he was a black and white Boston Terrier puppy. Oh, that, grew into a Boston Terrier dog, obviously. And he would literally sit in the hallway looking back into the dining room and kitchen where he knew his food and water bowls were. But he would not go that way. He would sit and bark and cry in the hallway. And one of us would have to go down through there and turn on the lights in the dining room and in the kitchen. Let him have his food and his water. And then we'd have to take him, when we started shutting the lights off and going back through the house, he was in front of us going back through there. Because he was not going to stay in that kitchen with that ghost. They want nothing to do with it, that dog. So if you have a friend, if you have a Boston Terrier and it acts weird like that, it may be seeing something that y'all don't know is there. Okay? And I'm going to give y'all a little warning. If you move into a house and you find something strange, like a Ouija board or something else, Native American artifacts or something, don't disturb them. Leave them wherever they're at and work around it. Now, we never did know who this ghost was, nor why they were there. And my uncle lived in the house after Mama did, and I don't know if they had any continuation or not, because that was during the time I wasn't able to travel as much, and I hadn't been down there in years. And then while my uncle was living there, the house caught fire. And about half of it burnt. And so it's sitting there half burned out today, and I don't know if the ghost is still there or not. So, alright, I'll tell you one more ghost story. Now this one's from my ex's family. My father-in-law used to love to tell his grandchildren, my children, who were they were all 30 or older they were all in their late 20s or early 30s when he passed. But when they were little kids, he loved to go to the cemetery where his parents were and his uncle and aunt. And he would tell the kids the story about the aunt. The uncle lived to be, his name was a really weird name, but I'm just going to say P. We'll call him P, okay? And we'll call her H. So Uncle P lived to be like 93 or so. And this was way before he ever got that advanced in years that this happened. He was married to Aunt H. And I don't know, that might not be right either, but it's alright. Anywho, he was a mean man. People talked about him all the time about how mean he was. His nieces and nephews would tell stories about him carrying around a hat pin to stab them with. And he'd stab them with the hat pin when they walked around by him or something. So this man was a mean man. And one time his two brothers was so mad at him for doing stuff like that to their kids with the hat pin that they literally took a car battery and hooked it to his metal bed frame so that he got a little bit shocked. Shoot. Oh, well, I rigged out. But anyhow, he was married to Aunt H. And Aunt H had some mental issues, as most of us do nowadays. But this was before, these days when everybody seems to have something. And I think a lot of it is genetics. And so in some communities, it's because there's not enough children being produced. So the gene pool is getting shallower and shallower as we go. So, but that's just my opinion on that. So, he who was mean as mean could be was married to Aunt H. And Aunt H, one Halloween morning, got up at 4 or 5 in the morning and went up by the cemetery. There was a train track that ran by the cemetery. By the way, she's buried in that cemetery, and he's buried beside her. Anyhow, it's a little country cemetery for a village, so it's not huge. But his grandparents had 5 sons, so they bought places for all 5 of the boys to be buried at that cemetery. And their wives with them. I don't know who that commissar was, but he had on a Russian military hat. Anyway, back to the story. So Aunt H had a lot of mental health issues. And like I said, it wasn't like it is nowadays, back then. Most of the time, anything that was done about it was you were put in a facility or something. And I know eventually after she died, Uncle P was put in a nursing home where he lived till he was 93 or 94. So, anyhow, Halloween morning, bright and early, sun ain't even up yet. She got up and walked to the cemetery and to the train track that was at the cemetery. And for whatever reason, I don't know if he had done something to her the night before or threatened her or what. We'll never know, you know. But there Aunt H was sitting on the tracks. And the train came through that morning about 6 or 6:30, I think they said, and hit her, and her sitting in the middle of the train track, just sitting there waiting for it. She didn't even flinch. So yeah, and my father-in-law loved to get my two over around that graveyard where he could point to the railroad track and say, "That's where your aunt sat on the railroad track on Halloween morning and got hit by a train." Needless to say, it freaked out a couple of the kids pretty good. Really, I think that's all the ghost stories that I know of, though, that's connected to our family in any way. I hope y'all enjoyed the stories, though. And I'll catch you in the next video. Laters.